Good morning and welcome back to the fourth part of Financial Literacy Month 2013. I'm Julia at Promises Financial Coaching, and I'm just glad that you're working through this process. Money matters and career matters are never an easy thing to deal with, and so you're showing great fortitude in coming back and continuing the conversation and process of doing better with our money. So let's review and recap where we've been. We started with we need to define what the problem is and then what we want. So we're aiming for what we want. It's not a gripe session, but this is what needs to happen. This is what I want to see happen in my life. Second part was to define what was in our control, like our attitude and our skills and what we're doing to improve our knowledge and good process. And then things that are merely something that we can influence. So reaching out to a friend, making a cold call if you're in sales, something I can influence, but we can't say this will happen if I do this. And then there are some things that are completely out of control. In between that video and today's video, the events of the Boston Marathon have occurred and the fertilizer plant explosion in West Texas. Really prime examples of how do I want my life to be stable and functional so that I have extra resources to then be able to give when there's a crisis that happens. We had no control over those two types of events, and there are lots of little crises that happen day to day that we have no control over. So, like I said, you're showing great courage in making sure that you're working towards that goal if you're not already there, and you're sharpening your game. If you are already pretty stable financially or career-wise, you're working to sharpen your game. That is just so brilliant of you. Yay. Last week, we set a SMART goal. One goal that was specific, measurable, action-oriented, resourced, so it's things that we can control, and then timely. We set a time limit because some people like to make decisions fast, and we maybe need to slow down a little bit and make sure that we work through a system to make sure we haven't missed something, details that are important. Some of us, we like to process information and decisions very slowly, and so we need that time limit, that deadline of knowing I need to have everything in place to complete the action items by this day. Today, we're following up with the example of you had a conversation. This could be a conversation that you have with your spouse about this money situation isn't working. Or this could be a conversation you're having with your spouse about this current career situation isn't supporting what we said is most important in our family. Or this could be a tense conversation you need to have with a coworker. It doesn't have specifically information about your career or your financial situation, but it's still a way of working through some conflict. We hope that the conversation went well. There will be a future video that we talk about what happens when things don't go as planned, so that it's that idea of overcoming obstacles. If you're driving towards something that's important, and we define that back in the first step, we know what we want, we're going for what we want, we're going to run into roadblocks, so don't be surprised when that happens. Now, we've had a good conversation, so we're rolling with that today. What do we need to do to decide going forward? We did one SMART goal, having a conversation, gathering some more input, getting some more counsel, getting some more knowledge, finding some more resources, things like that, just starting a conversation. Now we're moving into the decision-making process. So what's your decision-making process? I don't know if you've ever thought about your decision-making process. Number one, give it some time. So again, if you're a fast decision maker, you're putting a system in place by watching this video and considering some of the ideas in it. You're putting a system in place so that if you make a decision quickly, you can make that same decision over time and watch for it not to change and to consider all the consequences that maybe a quick decision wouldn't have considered. If you're a slow decision maker, then because you just don't like to feel rushed about things, then you're allowing yourself that time to think, but you're also not allowing this to become an unending process. You're going to see some results. You'll come to a decision point. You set some kind of date after today. You can there are basically three kinds of people in the world in terms of learning styles. There are people that are visual. So these are people that really enjoy putting pictures up on the wall and what do I want my life to look like? And as I make this decision, how is that going to affect all the parts of my life? But then sometimes journaling. So that's still a visual way of seeing things, but it's a little kinesthetic. So it's kind of a visual doer learning style. There are some people that they really have to do by learning. So learn by doing. And so maybe find somebody who's already doing this and see if you can volunteer alongside them for a few minutes or for a short period of time. Study them, see what they're doing, learn from what they're doing, see if you can come alongside them, and then make your decision based on how you enjoyed that interaction. So you're doing it. The third type of learning style is a verbal and oral. So you enjoy having conversations. Writing in your journal might seem boring. You're not talking to anybody. You're just talking to paper. And that doesn't make sense. You're not as visual a style. You need to think about what it sounds like and feels like. They're all perfectly acceptable learning styles. I don't mean to make any judgments or cast any aspersions that way. There's just something that's natural to us. All of us as adults, we've learned how to adapt and be able to do all three learning styles, but there's one that usually feels the most comfortable. So, grab your journal. Start writing every day. My decision, this is why it's a good decision. Here's something I need to follow up on, or questions or things like that. You could create a wall of perspective so that you can clip things, or you can put post-it notes of ideas up. You see a nice big wall behind me. This is sometimes where I do some of my decision making. Sitting down with a friend is never a bad idea. So my friend is John. That's the person that I turn to when I need some just good outside perspective. They're not in the middle of the situation. I am. And so he's always good. Don't forget to pray. That was something that my friend John recently reminded me to do. And that's always a good thing. I do believe that there are principles of money management and career management, how we create our income, how we create the money that we have in our checking accounts. So don't forget to check in with God and what He has in store for you, and what plans He has that maybe aren't clear right now, but He's getting you ready for them. Hang in there. If I can help you in any way, I hope you'll reach out. I am so glad to know that you are out there looking to make your life more peaceful and intentional, more value driven. God bless.